Okay, hi everybody. So today we're back talking more about the journey through the heart of grief. And we have Sandy Ingham with us today, which is really exciting for me because Sandy has some pretty remarkable gifts, being a psychic medium and artist, and having been at it for 75 years. So hello.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
So I just wanted to start a bit with your background. Like, how did you know that this was your gift?
How did I know? That's an interesting question. It would be easier to say, I've never not known. I haven't understood it necessarily, but right from being born, I was talking to people that other people couldn't see. The problem being there, I didn't know that other people couldn't see my friends. I just didn't know that. So it was interesting, to say the least. So I pretty much grew up with spirits, and one in particular who was a little boy then, and I used to call him Leon. And he literally grew up with me. You know, as I got into teenage, so did he, and as I got into young adulthood, so did he, until I got to the age of 60. And then all of a sudden the hands started to pick up pencils and draw faces. I can't draw for peanuts at all. I've never been able to draw. But there I was drawing faces, and I had no idea what I was doing. But I was to find out, because I knew it couldn't be me because I can't draw. And so I was going to the hairdresser's next morning, and I thought, I'll pick up a sketch pad and pencil, see what this is all about, because all the other faces and bits of faces had appeared on till receipts and backs of envelopes and what have you. And I didn't know for a long time that I was doing them, because it was just put in the rubbish, and I had no knowledge of having done them, because I'm a trance spirit artist, which means I've no knowledge of what's going on. And my husband can't draw. It's got to be my friends upstairs. I don't use the terms dead and alive, you see. I use upstairs and downstairs. So if they passed away, they're upstairs. So I knew it had to be them upstairs. So on the way to the hairdresser's next morning, I stopped and bought a sketch pad and pencil. And I was sat there having my colour done, and my hand must have reached for the pad. I was flashing across the page as it did back then, like frantically. And I had finished it and was putting it back in the paper when the hairdresser came over to see what I was doing. And she just literally staggered up the room, you know, hand over mouth, because I'd drawn her granddad who just passed away. And that's how I came to know what I was doing. Okay, so that's how I came to be drawing spirit. But I've been talking to them all my life. All my life. I didn't have human friends. I had spirit friends. Until to this day, at 75 years old, I still don't have human friends. I don't have that person I can phone up and say, fancy joining me for lunch or meeting me for coffee. They're just not there in my world. They're not. So I've led my whole life with spirit, and I love them. And the one thing I've learned about them is that love, that so deep, abiding love that is within them, so wants to let their families know that they're okay. I'm okay. And I met Aunt Emily, and I met Uncle Joe, and we're still partying, you know, we're still partying. And they tell me all this. And oh, and I saw what you wrote last night, and that was so beautiful. Really touched my heart. And these are the things they tell me, you know. And I know you went over to Annie's yesterday. I sat and listened, you know, and I wanted to tell you I was there. I wanted you to know that I am okay. But I couldn't. I stroked your hair and you just pushed it back behind your ear, you know, and we try honestly, they try so many different things to alert you that they are there. They so want you not to hurt for them. And of course, when you look at the reality of this, we're not hurting for them because they aren't hurting anymore. They are free. They're released back into that spirit world, which is, if you take the whole perfection of this planet we live on, it is that. And as I say, without the bad bits. It's beautiful where they are, and they're so excited to tell us, you know. And in this brief time we've been setting up for this, I've been talking to your family, as you know, because
my family just can't keep quiet.
but how beautiful it is, you know, to come in like that just because they can. And they can because you know the truth and you're open to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk to them. And that's how it works, in actual fact, from your voice. Because your voice has its own unique frequency. And it's that frequency that my team upstairs tune into and then bring your family in when I get a good signal. And they always come. And they've always got amazing things to tell me. Yeah, absolutely. And where people have maybe a recent one, a child had drawn a picture to put in the coffin for Granddad. And he told me about it. And he described it to me. And you can imagine what that did for the family, can't you? It's just so beautiful. We cannot die, not for the life of us. We cannot. Now, Doris Stokes said that first. You can't die for the life of you. And that is because we are first energy. We are energy. And any scientist in the world will tell you, you cannot destroy energy. You can't destroy that love. And you know, sometimes in the lifetime, that love gets lost a bit. And then when they go back home, back to spirit, and the veil of this very narrow space of life we've just left is cleared. So we're looking back down this lifetime and looking at all the things that we should have done better, could have done better, shouldn't have done, you know, and they face all of this, but they don't carry that into the spirit world with them. This is like a review station. That's how I put it for people's understanding. So they face that. And sometimes it's a very painful exercise because, you know, and I hear it all the time. I got it so wrong. I was so wrapped up in doing what I needed to do for myself. I just need to tell them how much I love them, really. And this, again, is the sort of thing they come back and tell me. Mm-hmm. And, you know, a person can be alone thousands of miles away, and it happens all the time because I do this globally, literally from, name it, Guatemala, Australia, America, all points, north, south, east, and west. And so I can't see these people. I have only their voice. But that's all their family need. And I remember saying to one man, I said, oh, you're sat on a bench outside of your house and you're looking across the road at what appears to be a yellow painted house. I swear to you, the sound felt like he'd fallen off his chair. But you see, they see and they can tell me. And what they tell me are things that I couldn't possibly know. I couldn't. And in fact, in the last couple of weeks, we've drawn two males, two men. One was an Uncle Dave, and his niece very quickly claimed it. And so I was able to tell her what he wanted to tell the family. First, it was his niece's birthday next week. And he so wanted to wish a happy birthday because they were so close. So he managed to get that through, as well as his face. And then he wanted to acknowledge that Grandma had joined him, spirit side, and give his very best to his very close friend, Peter, who was the person's father who claimed the picture. So, you know, they do all of these things so that they don't leave you in any doubt whatsoever that we are talking to them. And I asked them to do that, mention their family and friends by name, as we did indeed before we started filming. So there are many ways in which they can come back and leave us, you know, signs that that we can find. Flickering lights on and off is a good one. They do that so often. Just switching lights on and off, TV on and off, you know, vacuum cleaner in the corner all of a sudden. So they have a lot of ways of letting us know that they're there.
Do you think that somebody has to be open to the possibility, or they just keep missing those signs? If somebody's really grieving really deeply and just can't see the way forward.
Which most of them are to start with.
Yeah.
Grief, I find, takes a number of ways, you know, is first of all, shock. Second, generally, is anger. Third is just raw grief of missing them. And I often say, you know, it takes up to 5 years to properly get used to someone not physically being in this world. It's difficult. So, you know, you can never say to anyone, well, it's been 2 years, you need to get over it. You don't ever get over it. Never. What you do is get used to them not being physically in this world anymore. And I'm talking to a lot of people now who have lost close family and young ones, athletes, just, yes, just keeling over. And you can imagine how the family feel.
Yeah. And the shocking deaths that happen like that, or the ones that somebody has been ill for a number of years, when it finally happens, is that mixture of it's a relief because you know they've been suffering.
You almost prepare for it in those circumstances, and you expect.
But you still have them missing.
Of course.
That's the hard
You
part.
expect older people to go. We have to. It's the one thing that we will all do. She says as she's facing 75 and counting. But I have got no fear at all of passing, no fear of not being in this world, because the other one is just like it, but better. And it is beautiful. And honestly, what they say to me is the very next person to say rest in peace, give them a slap. We're having a ball up here.
I love that.
They do, absolutely. I remember one young man, his father was upstairs, and, you know, it came time for the end of the reading. And he said to tell his son, he has to go now because he's got a gliding session booked in an hour, you know, and that's what he used to do in life every weekend that he could, you know. So it's like a follow-on of this life. They just can do anything they want, and they can enjoy doing what they want to do. Nothing is out of bounds, except unkindness, of course. By the time they get to spirit, they know what they're doing there and why. And it is a beautiful world. I always refer to it as the universal, unconditional love. That's what spirit is. And that's what they become a part of. They don't forget all the things they've done that maybe they shouldn't. They don't forget. But they don't carry it into the spirit world. There would be no point in doing that, would there?
So what words or advice could you give to somebody who's still in that really deep grieving stage?
In the rawness.
I
would bring them to talk to them. I would say find a good medium. Be careful, because there are some out there that they think they're mediums, but in fact they're psychics, and it's a whole different matter. Find a good medium and have a chat with them, because believe me, they want to speak to us. They want us to know they're okay. But just look for those signs as well, because the signs can be a feather dropping at your feet, and very often it's a very pristine white one in the dirt, but no dirt on it, or floating on a puddle perfectly clean,
Mm.
or a shiny penny or a shiny coin. And the robin, of course, in this country, they use the robin because the robin's a cheeky little chap. He'll come right up and knock on the window, and I've had it done. I've seen it many a time. I was sitting one day with my doors open, and I was reading for this lady, and I have my back to the doors. So I'm saying to her, Mum's saying, do you remember the time that huge bee came in and flew all around your head and then flew out again? And as I'm saying this, the blooming bee is coming up behind me, and it flew all around her head and back out again. And oh, well, I guess that's an example. But they can do all of these things, and they want to, because they love. Because they love. Even when things have not gone right in life, the realization that that love that they first found in wives and husbands and children is back again. So I just touch the. I've done it a lot of times, and I still can do it wrong.
It's interesting because I remember, like, after not long after my dad passed, the butterflies. And this butterfly came into my office and flew all around the office, which is very unusual in town. And on my wall, I have all of these handprints of children. And I didn't pay attention at the time, but the butterfly landed on the wall. And I thought, oh, I'm going to take a picture because it's so rare that we see butterflies in here. And when I got home later, I was showing my daughter, saying, oh, look, there's a butterfly in the office today. And when I looked at the picture, the butterfly had landed between the handprints of my daughters.
Yes.
Out of all of the handprints and footprints on that wall. It was quite an amazing
because
sign.
they wanted to acknowledge their grandchildren.
Yeah, I saw that as a sign.
I do. Well,
So,
of course it is.
Yeah.
They send all manner of signs.
Yeah.
And I love it that they do, especially because when I'm doing readings, they can tell me about it and I can bring it up.
yeah.
And the number of times, people say to me, how on earth do you know that? And I will say, oh, I cheat. They tell me. And I do think I like to do this because I like to keep a reading buoyant. I like them to introduce laughter, because a reading should never ever be a dour, miserable, awful situation of floods of tears. Not with me anyway, because I'm just completely irreverent. If they say something that's funny, I will laugh. And then explain what I'm laughing at. But it's a beautiful experience, I think, to contact your loved ones after they've gone.
Well, I think in terms of death, people fear how they're going to die. Is it going to be painful? Is it going to be awful? What's going to happen? And then the idea, depending on how they're raised and their beliefs, that there's nothing or there is something, and what's it going to feel like, and what comes next, if anything comes next.
Oh, absolutely. But
So
I think that the whole fear of death, because there is no death really, the body is lost and left. But we are spirit having a human experience, and that continues and goes back home to spirit when the body's done with. So I think overall, it is the fear of the how someone's going to pass that is the issue, not the passing, because that's easy. We just pop off home. But it's how they get to that point that's the frightening thing. Yeah. But we live in a world where we shouldn't fear pain or death, because there shouldn't be any. But our world is in a little bit of a turmoil at the moment, isn't it? So
I love that.
It's just yes, quite so. But no, never fear dying. Never fear dying. It's a beautiful experience. And do you know what they all say? They say, I saw my mom, I saw granddad, I saw, etc. All the family that have gone before them. They'll start naming them. Oh, Uncle Gordon's here, and all of this stuff. And I couldn't know that, So that in itself proves that we survive physical death. Yeah, we do. And it's a beautiful experience.
And there's so many more kind of the near-death experiences being shared as well, which in the past, nobody would have said a word about that.
Well, because religion, or
Yeah.
Orthodox religion, if you like, have brought us up to believe that death can be a terrible experience, like hells and demons and lakes of fires and all that stuff. I mean, none of that is true. Absolutely none of it. And believe me, at my age, I've been there and I've seen it and I've talked to it. And I can remote view. I can go and have a look at things miles away without moving my body. So I know what goes on. And I know that the whole religious fear and intimidation thing appalls me, because it isn't true. It truly is not true. It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, and it's quite a sad thing, I think, to fear death, but also the idea that some people are raised to believe that that's the end. You go in a box and there's nothing. So I would be really scared if that was the end for me.
Of course.
But because I know it's not,
Yes.
and that, even
But
though I'm not ready to leave the kids,
No, I
that
don't.
when the time comes, I probably will be ready, whatever happens.
Well, here am I.
But at least I know I'm not
And
going to a box in the ground. I'm going somewhere else.
I'd rather just throw me
Yeah.
on the fire and be done with and get rid
You're
of
a
the
Viking in another life for you.
I don't think so. More drowned as a witch, I think. Because I have this fear of water. And I love floating on it. I love looking at it, but I won't go in it. I won't immerse myself in it. And that can apply to swimming pools as well. I don't like water.
I love that. I love that.
But yes, no, death just doesn't happen. The body fails, it's gone, it's done with. It's a meat suit. But who we are is in that body. And it never can die. Not ever. And honestly, I just to draw faces. I thought about it in my musings one night last week, where I'd just drawn a picture of this guy. I knew he was spirit side. And I'd drawn his face, put it on my Facebook group page. And there he was claimed, that's my Uncle Dave, And out comes the message from Uncle Dave. And I was thinking to myself, that was rather nice, especially for Peter, his best friend, and then the reality of it hits me, that where did that come from? I didn't know these people, never heard of them. And yet Leo had done that. Leo's my artist, by the way. As I said, I can't draw, but he uses my hands to do it. In fact, just before you came, I drew a picture. And I don't know whose it is yet. Oh, I wonder if it's for somebody on here. You never know.
We'll have to find it and put it up at the end.
It's sat on my easel just behind us. Yeah. So,
in the house.
yes. So we can easily enough do that. You can pop it on, take a photo and pop it on. Somebody will claim it somewhere.
Oh, I can't wait for that to happen.
Because the pictures are so close to the reality of them. Some of them are like photographs, just drawings. In fact, that one that I'm talking about, I put it on my group, and I got a message from a colleague in New York, and she said, had I done it in color? No, black pencil, white paper, and yet it's got skin tones now, developing in the face while it's out there on Facebook. And that's what Leo does. And it happened now, where were we? I think that was Australia, actually. We'd got 3 cameras on what I was doing. And I was drawing this little girl, and she was known in her lifetime to have these beautiful, very clear, pale blue eyes. And as I'm drawing the little face with my black pencil on white paper, up on a big screen so everyone could see, the eyes turned blue and the skin tones came in. So everybody's thinking I'm working in color. I don't have any color. I didn't have any color. But there was a rush for all the cameras at the end to see if they'd captured it. They had.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. So you see what spirit can do? They can always let us know we're okay. Another one which I found quite beautiful. Leo loves to draw up at around 35,000 feet. He likes to draw. So I always have my pad with me in the aircraft. And on this occasion, I think coming back from somewhere in America, not sure. And we'd landed at Heathrow. And whilst I was up, I'd drawn this little girl. And when I landed, whilst waiting for the cases to come off, I switched on my phone and there's a message. Would it be possible to draw my daughter in spirit? And I responded immediately with, strangely enough, I've just landed at Heathrow Airport and we've just drawn one at 30,000, 35,000 feet, whatever it was. And I sent her the picture and you would have to see. It's exactly right. Even the way the hair falls open in the fringe, everything. And these beautiful almond-shaped eyes. It was exactly her. But sadly, the mother saw that and thought I must know about it, and that I'd drawn it from a photo.
Well, again, the grief, you can't believe that, you know, especially I think losing children is a whole nother epic layer of grief, you know, with grandparents and parents, that you know that there comes a time, but not, you know, well, even parents who go young, you know, my aunt died very young, my mom's twin, and, you know, our family really suffered from the missing of her
yeah, absolutely,
forever.
exactly.
You know, but younger kids especially,
there is no getting away from grief, and children. I think I read for a lot of people who've lost children, and you know, one in particular I've recently read again, 4 years on, and he's still grieving his son just so rawly, and I really feel for them. But you know what? That son comes in every time and gives him some real golden nuggets of information. You know, what he's been doing, where he's been doing it, who he's been talking to. He just, every time he comes in with something so utterly profound. It either happened yesterday or it's, you know, it's a memory that is very special. They always will come and give you something so very special. It's what they want to do. And I get to feel their excitement whilst they're waiting to come in and talk. I love my work, I do. But to draw them and then make contact with the family is pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I always say, you know, when people say thank you so much, and my response is always the same. It's my pleasure and my privilege, because it is.
Well, thank you very much for that.
Welcome.
There's some beautiful thoughts in there. I think, especially going to a place of love and experiencing more and more love.
Yes.
And the rawness passes, even if the missing goes on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It does. It takes time. You know, for some, you cannot put a time on grief, not for anyone. For some, it's just endless. But generally, within 5 years, you get used to them not physically being here, but you never stop missing them.
Yeah.
Never. But they're fine, I promise you. They're absolutely fine and having a whale of a time. Yeah. And they laugh with me because I love that. You know, it was Aunt Peggy's birthday last week, so we've got to celebrate that. Oh, and then it's the wedding anniversary of our uncle, whatever, next week, so we've got to celebrate. Hang on a minute, this is an endless party.
That would suit my Irish family just fine.
And that's, who was this? Who played the fiddle? Does somebody play the fiddle in your family?
Oh gosh.
I'll leave you to think about that
will
one,
leave
because
you to
I
think
have
about that
it.
one.
I do have it. Somebody playing the fiddle and foot tapping and the wriggly tin thing. Tin washboard.
Okay, that was before my time.
Yeah,
Definitely
well, not
before
before
my time.
mine.
But that would make sense to my mom living up in in the bush and stuff like that in
Yeah.
Ottawa Valley too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate your sharing.
You're welcome. My pleasure and my privilege.
We might have to have her back on after we figure out whose picture this is.
Well, yes, if it's yours, if it's somebody out there watching this.
Yeah, we'll
It'll
leave
be there.
details down below for get in touch if that is your picture.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And we will see you in the next series. Thank you.